Hey team, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be walking through our creative strategy when it comes to launching Facebook and TikTok ads. We'll discuss everything from understanding your audiences, do's and don'ts for brands, and also how to start your own creative sprint. If you're new here, please give the channel a sub and comment below any videos that you'd like to see on this channel. With that being said, let's get straight into it. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to be covering a lot of content, so I will try to timestamp as much as I can in order to help you guys out. So when onboarding a new client, the first place we actually start is looking at the reviews for the current customer. So the best place to start when we onboard new clients is actually going through their own reviews, go through Amazon and also their D2C listings. Check out all the reviews, both positive and negative. Once you've got all these reviews, add them into a word cloud. Now what we want to see here is actually keywords that are used across these customers, both on positive and negative reviews. Once we've got all that information, we can add these to a doc or a Notion board that I've actually set up, which I'll link down below. Now this will help us use particular keywords that the customers have mentioned directly into our ads. Now carrying on this trend of reviews, let's take a look at some of our competitor reviews. In this case, we want to look at their bad reviews. So anything from 1 to 2 stars, we want to make sure we plug it into a word cloud straight away. Now, this key insight is actually going to tell us what to improve on or what we can improve on based on those negative reviews. How can we use those reviews and better our service to the customers? When we're looking through all these reviews, we want to make sure we're including things like Facebook ad comments as well as PR articles that are mentioned by the brand. These, along with other social media channels like TikTok, are going to be really helpful to really understand the audience and how they actually engage with the brand. In my opinion, the best place we've found customer feedback has actually been on post-purchase surveys as well as Facebook ad comments. Now, these places are actually providing us feedback like asking questions or things they want to see improvements on the product or the brand. And the last part of this section is actually looking at the brand guidelines itself. They're going to have a bunch of do's and don'ts that you want to make sure you're following when you're creating your ad. A lot of brands have some type of humor or some type of words that maybe aren't allowed to be used, so make sure you're following these guidelines throughout your process. Now the next part of this is actually looking through the ad account. I'll bring up the ad account on the right or left hand side of the video. Now what we want to look through here is our top performing ads, pick out key elements, and think of ways we can actually iterate on these ads or even reuse them with some slight changes. If we find an ad that's been running for a really long time and has great on-platform metrics, let's see if we can take it apart and iterate on it. Ways you can iterate on it could be including adding captions, increasing the speed a little bit, or adding a different type of voiceover. Some of the on-platform metrics we actually look into are things like hook rate, thumbs up ratio, click-through rates, and cost per clicks. The main thing you actually want to focus on when you're going through this is you want to make sure you understand your audience, try and get as much feedback as you can, and learn from them in order to see how you can improve your ads. So now the third part of this video is going to be walking through how we create a hypothesis and how we actually kick off these creative sprints. After we've learned a bit more about our audience from parts 1 and 2, we'll go ahead and start thinking of some angles that we can test. These angles are going to be something we call a hypothesis. The purpose of this is we want to run it for 1 or 2 weeks and split test our ideas against each other. Now we don't always have to test out angles. As our hypothesis, we can also say we want to test videos against images. If that's going to be our hypothesis, we let it run for 1 to 2 weeks depending on the budget, and we come to a conclusion at the end of the test. Our hypothesis would look something like, we assume that videos are going to drive a lower acquisition cost than images. Now what we do from here is run videos and images that are quite similar in concept, but the only differentiation is the media type. Let it run for 1 to 2 weeks depending on your budget and come to a conclusion on what works best for your account. From here, we can go ahead and create a new hypothesis on a new test we want to run. And now these can be more deeper angles that we want to dive into. Some brands that do a good job of testing our angles are Magic Spoon and Lumen Skincare. Both these brands record a set amount of content and all they actually change is the first 3 seconds, which is going to be the angle you're going to be testing. So now we've discussed talking about our audience, creating a creative sprint. Let's talk about how this all combines together and what a process looks like inside of an agency. So now the first part of this workflow actually includes concepting, something I've talked about at the start of this video. We're going to take the research that we've got and think of ideas that we'd ideally want our designer or video editor to kind of create. From here, our creative strategist and I we'll add these concepts directly into a platform like ClickUp and assign them to our editor. From here, it can take up to 1 to 2 days for the designer to complete the task. They'll go ahead and add it into a software like Air or Frame and tag us directly on ClickUp. Now this will be to make sure that we actually review these creatives and give any feedback or comments directly on the platform. Any edits that need to be made will be reassigned to the designer and they'll need to get back to us as soon as they can. Once this is all approved from our side, we've done our spell checks, we've done our creative checks, it all looks good and we're ready to go live, we'll send it directly to the client for approval before we actually launch it in the ad account. Once the client's given it the all go, we launch it straight away into the ad account. Again, we'll give it a schedule of roughly 6 to 8 hours so we can review it again and make sure there's no errors on our side. Once the test is live, we go ahead and start looking into metrics directly on Facebook, Triple Whale, and also Motion. Now, Motion is a great platform for actually your creative strategists or even designers to go on. There's metrics on there that helps them understand what's actually happening with the creative, and that way they can actually provide iterations to make on the ads directly instead of looking at Facebook Ad Manager. Once we've run these creatives for 1 to 2 weeks, we'll go ahead and pick it apart and try and change 1 or 2 elements in there that we think are winning concepts. Now these 1 or 2 elements will directly go back to square one and we'll do the loop all over again, and that would count as a full-on workflow. If you are looking to create net new assets for your creative sprint, I've got a template linked in my bio to a Notion board. On that board, it's got everything to do with our creative strategy, from creative briefs to content planning. Be sure to check it out and it will definitely help you guide you through that process. Now finally, the last part of this video is actually how to keep finding new concepts for your brand. Now I've talked about this a lot on a couple of newsletters and even on Twitter, but my favorite way is actually through post-purchase surveys. For those who don't know, a post-purchase survey is something a customer will receive once they've completed their order. The survey can contain multiple questions, all the way from multi-choice to open-ended questions. A lot of marketers use it for actually getting creative concepts as well as solving a bit of the attribution problem going on. If you are looking to get more creative inspiration on the post-purchase end, these are some of the questions I currently use and why. My top 2 questions are: why did you actually purchase from our brand? And what problems do you solve from purchasing our product? These 2 questions in particular will give you different types of answers from customers. In some cases, we've actually received mini stories, and that helps us take 3 to 4 parts from that story and build new concepts into ads. The good thing about post-purchase surveys is you can actually filter it by new customers and returning customers. In this case, what we want to do is actually ask our returning customers some type of different question and find out why they keep coming back to buy from us. So my next way is actually a personal favorite of mine. Go directly on social media apps like TikTok, search your niche. In this case, let's talk about skincare. I would look for the hashtag skincare or some type of hashtag in that niche. From here, I'll filter it by last 7 days, most like, and look at what concepts are people creating videos on. Is there a particular trend we can hop on? Is there something different that's happening on the app that we can use directly in our ads? What I would do from here is create almost like a mood board based on most watched and most liked videos in the last 7 days on TikTok. And then my final way of coming up with ad concepts is looking at industries outside of yours. So if I'm in skincare, I'd look at something like almost like car dealerships or even, cereals or anything that's different to your niche. The main purpose of this is actually freshening up a customer's feed. If they're used to looking at a lot of serums on their feed, they're going to get bored. So start introducing new concepts that might shock their feed and actually stop the scroll. You want to avoid copying what all your competitors are doing and bring something fresh, some new concept, some new element directly into your Facebook ad account. So that's all for today, folks. I hope this was really helpful. Again, please let me know if I might have missed anything. Leave it in the comments and I'll make sure to address them as soon as I can. For the next video, I'm going to be talking about some account structures. So if that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe below and I'll see you guys next time.